Hi guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. We're talking about how you can completely shift your identity. You can become whatever person you want to be. And I just wanted to talk about this because I wish I had had this information when I was younger, especially when I was like 19, 20. I was so unconfident. Like, I don't want to say insecure because I feel like that kind of means like I didn't like the way I looked or something like that, but I like legitimately was just so insecure about like my personality, and I thought that it was weird and awkward and all this stuff. And I wish I had known the information that I know now. I did want to say that if you are having trouble with manifesting, or you just feel like it's a little slow for you and you want to know if there's a way for you to maybe speed it up, my manifestation audits are open, as well as my audits plus emails, which is like coaching. So go ahead and check that out in the description if you're interested. Guys, you can shift your entire identity. You do not have to be the person that you are today. You can literally overnight just change everything about yourself. And I wanted to point out that this actually happens in a lot of people's lives where they do change every single thing about themselves, but it is usually after a very big event, usually a very negative event. Like, someone close to them will pass away unexpectedly, and all of a sudden this person does a complete 180 on their life. Everything about them is different, whether it's good or bad. But this is like, that's a time when a lot of people like finally find the motivation to completely change who they are. Or like women, when they get pregnant, a lot of times will all of a sudden cut out all of the stuff that they were doing before. They're no longer, going out and partying. They don't vape anymore. They don't smoke anymore. Like, they can change all of that in a blink of an eye. Why? Because it's a big event that's happening. But I wanted to say, you don't have to wait for that big event. You do not have to wait for, obviously a tragedy, or, maybe it's something good, but, you don't have to wait for that. You can literally do it overnight now. I always like to teach through affirmations, through thoughts, because like I said in my last video, you change your thoughts, it changes your assumptions, and your assumptions push out into your reality. So if you start with the thoughts and change those, eventually your reality will change. It has to. There's no other way. If you are only thinking as if you're this new person, your reality will change. So with that being said, I'm going to go to one of the things I used to have issues with, but you can insert whatever issue you were having. So I used to believe that I had a really hard time making friends, that I felt like nobody liked me. And that was just an assumption that I had. I was shy, I was quiet, and I was like, I can't talk to anybody. Like, I don't make friends. And that would be like the thoughts when I would meet new people, is, oh my gosh, they're gonna think I'm weird. Oh my gosh, like, why did I say that? Like, they're gonna think I'm a weirdo. And so, of course, that's what was pushing out into my reality. So if I had wanted to change that, at that time, the way that I could have done that was by, if I had started thinking to myself, repeating these affirmations, if I had started saying, oh, people do like me, people do like my personality, I'm magnetic, I make friends easily. If I had started repeating those thoughts to myself, I could have made changes that way. Now, most likely, if I had started saying that, if I had started saying, I make friends easily, guess what would have happened? I probably would have had thoughts that said, no, you don't. Like, you don't even have any friends. Which, in turn, I would have had to say, nope, that's not true. I do make friends easily. People do like me. So that is how you do it, the assumption way, or the affirmation way, sorry. It's literally that easy. So you decide, this is what I want to be this kind of person, and you repeat it to yourself over and over and over again. And it does not matter what your past was. It doesn't matter that in the past you were not good at making friends, or you were not confident, or you were not liked by people. That does not matter anymore. You are deciding you are a new person today. So all of a sudden that's changed. I think a lot of times people get hung up on the 3D, but it's like a lot of times you're looking in the past. You're saying, these are my past experiences, but you've told yourself, oh, I'm a new person now. I have a new identity, so why are you even looking at these past experiences? Those don't matter anymore. Those are literally not relevant to you because you've decided, oh, I'm in a new identity. So you need to treat everything as if you are in a new identity. So with that being said, if all of a sudden, I meet a new person and it doesn't go well, I don't need to sit there and say, see, no one likes me. Why would I say that? I already told myself I'm in a new identity. So that person's the weird one because I do make friends easily. Does that make sense? Like, you cannot let the 3D bully you. If you decide I'm someone who makes friends easily, then you are someone who makes friends easily. Do not let the 3D sit there and disagree with you, Like, you stay strong in your thoughts, okay? You cannot control what happens in the 3D at this point. You cannot control if you have a wavering thought, but you can control all of your new thoughts. You can combat those wavering thoughts or anything that happens in the 3D by saying, nope, I'm confident. Nope, I make friends easily. And you repeat it over and over and over and over and over again until your assumptions shift, which then shifts your reality. It's that easy, truly. I can tell you the way that I did it back then. Like I said, when I was 18, 19, 20, I could not make friends at all. Like, somebody would try to talk to me, like, just to be friendly, and I would completely freeze up. I was like, I don't know what to say. And I read a book that it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I remember while reading it, I was like, I don't even need to read the influence people part of this book. Like, I just want to be able to make one friend. Like, that's how freaking lonely I was, I was like, I just need one friend. And what I did basically is I read this book, and he's talking about, like, all you have to do to, like, get people to enjoy talking to you is to talk about them, like, to talk about topics that you enjoy. And at the time, like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is life-changing. Like, I don't have to, like, that's all I have to do to make friends is talk to someone about what they are interested in. And it was enough for me to change my identity in myself, because I, like, legitimately thought, like, okay, I unlocked this new information. Like, making friends is easy if all I have to do is talk about them. Like, that's what switched in my brain, where I was like, oh, making friends is easy as long as I talk about them. And all of a sudden, it was easy for me to make friends. Was it because I, like, all of a sudden was just, like, way better at communicating or anything like that? No, I was still the same awkward, kind of weird person. But I had changed the assumption. My assumption before was making friends is hard, and my assumption changed to making friends is easy as long as I talk about what they're interested in. That's how quickly your identity can shift. Now, obviously, did I sit there and repeat affirmations with that? No, I was able to change that in, like, literally an instant kind of thing, because I felt like this person knew more than me. And so I was like, okay, they're right. And so that was that. So I want to be the person to tell you, you can change anything about yourself instantly by just changing that assumption. And the assumption does not have to take that long to change. Like, you can literally, you know how when something just clicks and all of a sudden it's like everything in your life changes because you're like, oh my gosh, that clicks so well? You can do that with anything. If you want to be confident, tell yourself that you are confident and repeat it over and over again, and eventually it will click. I'm not saying that that you just watch this video and all of a sudden everything's clicked, but maybe it will. But if you keep repeating that same thing, your assumption will click into place. That new assumption will click into place. You just got to give it whatever time it needs. You know, like I said, I don't know what resistance you have to it, so I can't tell you the speed, but I will tell you, if you keep changing your thoughts, the assumption will click into place at some point. Other than that, though, I just wanted y'all to have that information so that if you are struggling with anything about yourself, just know that is something you can shift instantly. Every single time you can shift it instantly. So that's all. Anyway, have a good day, guys. Bye.